Foods. See, many of the developers, what I've also seen is they face one common challenge. They're stuck in, developer roles, senior developer roles, kind of that way. How was your transition to leadership, and what point did you decide, hey, I'm moving from coding to, moving to leading teams?
So leadership is not something very different for me. Okay, I would say like for me it was actually a natural progression. Okay, even from my school days and college days, I was the school people leader. I was leading the teams. I was the association president in college. So I always taken up the leadership roles. So when I entered the
Thanks.
industry, I naturally started leading small teams within the first couple of years. Like I said, even in the batch at my training, I was leading the entire batch. Okay, and even at my project, like I volunteered myself. To lead the teams and help the teams to take up jobs, take up tasks, and whatnot. So as I grew in my career, that responsibility kept expanding. Okay, I started with a small team. I started with managing two or three people to where I'm today, where I'm leading a team of 70, 80 members at an offshore office here in Coimbatore. So leadership was not very different for me. It was imbibed into me since from my childhood. So I always had this quality of leading teams. I always wanted to lead teams, uh, but somehow that gives me, satisfaction. So I started picking it up when I had chances during my career.
Cool. See, what was the hardest part about managing people, right? From my experience, I know a couple of challenges, but I'll go after you this time. Okay. What was the hardest part about managing people?
As you said, first thing is taking responsibility is easy, but managing people was a learning experience. So,
Yeah.
so what surprised me the most was actually understanding different personalities and navigating through their emotions. Okay, uh,
Yeah.
think that's something that you don't learn as a techie or an individual contributor. And the second one is about the accountability, especially when you're working with the people of the same age or even with your friends, right? When you are a leader along with your friends, making them accountable for something is the hardest part in
Yes.
setting expectations right, ensuring the delivery, and sometimes having tough conversation. It is not easy. I would say, in fact,
Yeah.
I've done friendships because of that. But over time,
Yeah.
you realize that leadership requires making those difficult choices. So
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that I learned too. Once you step into leadership, you have to make hard decisions. There are
yeah,
no other choices, right?
correct. Also, a good leader has to be hands-on, right? You need to understand the technology, understand your team's challenges, and step in when needed. You don't just manage, but you lead from the front and grow with your team. So I have gone through all these, difficult phases of managing your same age people. Sometimes, I've been managers of people who are elder to me, and that is
Yeah.
another. Making them to listen to you is the difficult task. You need to
Yes.
yourself. You need to gain their confidence. You need to be abreast with all the new advancements to gain their confidence. So that is something that very.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. See, some of my challenges I'll reveal now, right? See, motivating people, taking accountability. You can assign accountability, but if they don't take, it's lost, right? And motivating people is another thing because not all people are same. Some are motivated by financial gain, some are motivated by trust, right? How open you are with them. Some are motivated by fear, right? If they get scared that my job is going to go, they perform well. Some people, if they know I get more money, they'll perform well. Some people, it's like, okay, give me problem, I'll resolve it, and that motivates them, right? They say, I take ownership. If it breaks, I'll fix it, right? So some people, so it's all these varieties of people, right? When you are a leader, you can't apply one formula to everyone,
Correct.
right? So,
Yeah.
so it changes and adapting to those dynamics, especially in large teams like 50, 60 people, it drains your energy basically because when you spoke in one tone to one person, the same tone is not applicable to another person. Some need friendly chat, some need stern chat, some need, casual chats, right? So it's the variations that you have to go through
Correct.
to, get all team working together on a common problem and motivating them right to deliver on those. I think that was my one of the biggest challenge. I'm still trying to get through some of those challenges, right? Yeah, it's an interesting experience, I would say.
Correct.
So, in your opinion, staying on the leadership topic, right? What makes a good leader?
Like I already said, a good leader has to be hands-on. So he should be able to uh, understand the difficulties the team would face, guess what will affect the team's morality, and then solve it earlier. Like the foresight of looking ahead is what a leader should have, definitely.
Yeah,
And definitely going hand in hand with the team, understanding their difficulties, solving them, creating a conducive environment for them to thrive is what a leader should be prized on.
yeah. See, here is where the tough decision is, right? Because being the good leader, there is always good and bad side of things. They will say leaders has to be empathetic. Empathetic to who? Investors or employees, right? They don't both sit well together. For example, let's take these big corporates, right? Who are laying off people left and right. They are empathetic to investor. They're not empathetic to employees,
Correct.
right? Are they not empathetic? No, we can't say because they're being empathetic to investors, but not empathetic to employees. If they be empathetic to employees, they can't be empathetic to investor because they need more profits. So that's where I see, that being good, they might do all the right thing, but they might still end up bad because there is the other side of the picture, but many people won't see, right? So that's what being a good leader means, in my opinion. What I say, it's a situation where you are in, right? In which side of the coin you are in, right?
Yeah.
If you are on that side of the coin, you're good. If you are on this side of the coin, you might look bad.
Yeah, I mean, good leaders should does not only manage. Okay, they should lead from the front. Basically.
Yeah,
They should know like what the team's strengths and weaknesses are, and then they should be able to navigate through that. And then and they should also give the opportunities for the people to be visible, for the outside world. That's one trait that every leader should have. It is not just a leader should grow by himself; he should grow along with the team. Is what I always believe.
cool. See, one thing also impressed me about when I was going through your profile, right? You have this different experiences, right? Working as or worked as education as a dean, working with different students, working in companies. Do you think our colleges are preparing students for real jobs, or can there can there be something that could be improved? I know our colleges are not right, but could there be something that can be improved?
Out here, so there is definitely a gap. you know
Yeah,
Industry is evolving very fast. Okay, but many colleges are still stuck with following the outdated curriculum. Okay,
come
they
on.
follow whatever
Yeah,
in the 2004s. They still follow the same kind of subjects. For example, we are working on modern technologies, right? But students are only exposed to only the basics. Like if you, for example, if you take the at least like they have grown from C++ to at least Python in the back languages. But if you take the front end languages, we are coding in like Angular and React here. But
yeah.
when you talk about the full stack development or the front end technologies in the college, they're stuck with HTML, CSS. Okay, see
Yes,
how
Tamil says.
the gap is so long. Okay, that's it. But the things are improving with industry
Improve.
collaborations with the colleges, but definitely there is still a lot of work to be done because
Yeah,
working with students is really like very different. Like students are at a stage where they're still shaping their mindset, correct? So you need to influence them, build their confidence, and connect with them. So in companies, people are expected to deliver, but in colleges and in education, you first need to inspire. You need to teach them on what are the technologies that they can get into. Only then they will start learning. So I would say like there is definitely a gap, but things are improving fast. Okay, now they are having like too many industry related courses, and even Anna University and other universities here in India have made mandate that somebody from the industry have to conduct one credit courses or something which is very relevant to the industry. I see a
Yeah.
lot of colleges are introducing AI and various curriculum, but they're still, like I would say, like they do
Fundamentals.
the fundamentals, and the text book oriented teaching is what is there. They don't have
Mm.
an idea of like what is happening in the industry right now, and that needs to be like filled in. Like at every stage this was there. Even when I was studying, there was a gap. Like whatever I studied, most of them I did not apply it my work. Okay, so I had to like learn on the job to get into where I am. Similarly, there is a gap now, but now the technology is growing very fast. It is trending very fast. If you don't catch it up, then you'll be left.
Yeah. See, definitely that gap is real, right? Because let me start from me, right? When I joined the industry, I joined as tech M. My manager, who was or 20 years elder than me, said, "Are you guys still learning 8052 microcontroller and 8086 microprocessor?" I said, "Yes, that's what I learned." Now I asked the recent batchmates that were passed out, and they say, "Yes, we still learn that." Right? And that's what surprises me, and this is where I want to help people, where at least introduce them to these cloud technologies, right? What has happened outside these colleges, uh, in the tech landscape, right? Because if you came out 20 years ago from the college, the industry was completely different. And if you came out 5 years before, let's say before COVID, the industry was different. If you came out after COVID, the industry is totally different with all the remote work and sort of things. After AI, there is no need to talk, because 3 years ago or 4 years ago, it was LLM, right? Then it was multimodal. First, it was text, then it was multimodal languages, then it was tool calling, they called, then it's agentic AI, right? Like at least companies are not even adopting these things yet completely, but there is so much evolution that is happening, but there is still students, forget students, companies are yet to catch up,
Yes,
right?
yes,
So that's the landscape of things that worries me a lot. Like when we have engineers on the ground and start when they are starting to look for an opportunity, they feel irrelevant. Why are they asking this? I didn't know anything about it. That's what makes them should go to private classes and learn, upskill, and then start coming into the industry. Yeah, that's a real problem that I have seen.
So I always have this question, like I been asked this question whenever I go to colleges for delivering guest lectures or being invited as a chief guest for any function. I always been asked this question: Will AA take my job? It's not the AA that is going to take your job. If you are not knowing how to tame the AA for your benefit, if you're not using AA, then definitely that's going to be an shortcoming. Otherwise, like if you know how to use AI for your benefit, if you know the real technologies of the world which are there right now, then you would be able to navigate through it very easily.
Nice, nice. I think that's pretty amazing, because that's one of my follow-up, right? Where what advice for the future that you would have? What skills should people focus on today,
Yeah.
right? I think AI is definitely one among them. Any others that you could find it relevant, that it could add values to people's lives in learning and utilizing those?
Sorry, can you come back? I missed the question.
Eh, Similar to AI, what other skills should people focus on today, right?
See, to me, it is always the fundamentals and basics. If you are very good at your fundamentals, like you take my career as an example, you have to like navigate through multiple technologies together, which are entirely different in one form or the other. But what gave me the confidence to like adapt to these technologies is like I had my fundamentals right. I know my basics, I know my data structures, I know my PSA, I know my operating system, I know my network. So if you are good at fundamentals, any technology is easy to catch up. Okay, you know how, if you start asking why to each of the questions, then that's where the real knowledge comes in. So understand the basics correctly, and then you'll be able to catch up with new technology. So it has always been there, right? There is a lot of chaos when happened when people moved from desktops to mobile apps. There are always a lot of chaos that happened when people moved from data centers to cloud. And now it's AI. So every time there is always a threat or a kind of a threat that happens in the industry. But if you look at the other side, all these threat has opened multiple other opportunities to people. Okay? It actually like help people to like evolve into a different landscape. So now it's AI agentic, and you see a lot of other things will come, but you need to keep your fundamentals right. That's what.
Cool, cool. Yeah, that's what I've seen, right? See, this brings me back to my previous point, right? These good developers and great developers. I think fundamentals is another factor which differentiates them, right? Good developers, you give them a feature, they deliver. But when you ask a great developer to develop the same feature, he designs a system where how this feature is going to land on the consumer, right?
Right.
He says this has to be deployed in this way, this has to have a load balancer, API gateway, whatever it is, right? He designs a complete system rather than stopping at the feature, right? And that's what I've seen these people that takes from good to great, right? They don't treat it as a feature, they treat it as an entire system, like yeah, that system designing, I think that falls again under fundamentals, right? If you know system design well, you know what you are introducing to the system. Will it make the system or break the system,
Right.
right? True, true. And from your experience, right, how do you stay relevant with this fast changing technologies? Right? Everything is gone for a toss since AI. Everybody are trying new things. There are probably every day one or two AI apps that are coming up. But how do you stay relevant, keep up with the things?
Um, So it is always about building the habit of continuous learning. Right? So you need to adapt, you need to evolve, and stay open to new technologies and ways of working. So always have this, hunger of learning new things, learning new technology. So continuous learning will help you to, help you to actually like
Wonders.
yeah, do wonders in any technology that you
Yeah.
get into. So that's what like I always like be open to learning new things. As I said, like unlearn and learn new things.
Yeah, cool. See, that is definitely I could vouch for because continuous learning is what kept me running all these years, right? Because if you learn one thing, you get stuck in the same place. You'll never move, right? That's my personal experience also, where I had a 3 to 4 years, never learned anything, too comfortable in my positions. I never learned anything new. Then I thought, oh, tech has moved past me, right? I have to catch up now. I'm still catching up for those 3 years, right? So that's how I see, you blink and you start to miss things. That's how tech industry evolves. Yeah, that's what I can see, wherever you get chance, whenever you get chance, whether you are on flight waiting for something, I tend to read about something or tend to listen something, right? Conversation between peoples. One of the good things that I do is, listen to this Azure, AWS, and GCP podcast, right?
Right.
These guys are solving some of the most pressing problems, like at scale, like how they are dealing with petabytes of data that they are ingesting, how these systems are breaking at scale, right? What are the hacks that they are introducing, which they may be launching new services, but they will also explain why they are launching it. That's the interesting thing that we can't get it
All these
anywhere else, right?
AWS, um, you know, like all these cloud providers, uh, their own path. They have their own technical blogs that you can go and really read about. So that will
Yeah,
help you a lot.
yeah, that's something, and I'm trying to become partner on all three, right? We are on track with AWS, but there are few nitty gritties. We are registered partner, we are not certified partner yet. For that, we have to meet some certain criteria. We're going through that. But the idea is, there is so much that these guys are doing. It's all, suppressed due to the hype in AI, right? The evolution in cloud, if you look at AWS over the past 10 years, probably they launched more than 200 service, not all of them were continued, but they are innovating in terms of how technology is delivered to end users, right? So that's what, creates an opportunity to learn new things. That's where I've learned many of the new things that I know. Because if I'm doing the same work over and over again, you never learn anything new. When you look outside, that's when you start to observe things.
Yeah, you have to get uncomfortable for you to grow.
Yeah. Cool. So what's your opinion on skills or degree? Right. In my case, I put another one: skills, experience, or degree. Right.
Okay. So definitely skills, because what you can do matters more than what you study. Uh, like we were talking about how the industry is like catching up, how the colleges are catching up with the industry. Like there is always a gap in what you get as a degree and what you work. So always skills, speaks first for you, best for you. And for your question, like skills along with right amount of experience is the best part.
Yeah, foods. I think one of the things I would also put into the mix is attitude, right? You can have great skill but bad attitude, people will never come to you,
Right.
right? So probably that's one thing that I missed out, but that's another addition that I've seen. You might not have skill, but you have great attitude. People will reach out to you. Hey, I don't know this. Can you help it out? Right. But if you have great skills, if you don't have the right attitude, people will never come to you. That's something that I've seen in the past. Right. And this is an interesting one. The next one. Is it a job or startup? Because I've been in both. Okay. So I'll tell my experience, but I want to hear yours. Job or startup?
Uh, like you said, I've been also in both. I think like the experience of actually like long chain of foods. Okay. Because of my passion towards seafood, I'm one of the founder of the chain of free foods. It is called TV. So, but if you ask me, I always say you start with the job or you understand the ecosystem better.
Yes.
Then you move to the startup because you need to know like how things work before even you try and answer it. So early in your career, go for a job specifically, better in a startup basically, so that you understand things end to end, and then you understand the whole ecosystem of how things work, how you have to like, market things and all that, and then you can go to building a startup.
Yeah, I think I would totally get it. I think it's in the similar lines of what Jack Ma used to say when I used to, Alibaba and everything was making the news, right? I was listening to him and he said, work in a big company for 2 to 3 years, understand how the machine functions, what processes they have, what policies they have, how do they tackle a problem, how the team comes together to solve problem. Then you understand, then you come out and you
Right.
start building a machine, right? Because that's what many people do. They understand how people are tackling a problem and they try to replicate with their own flavor of things. Hey, I can do this better, right? Probably I can save money here, I can save time here. This is what business opportunities are, and that's what I've seen. I think my advice is on the same line. But when it comes to work life balance between a job and startup, how do you, put it?
So work-life balance, it depends on how you define and manage it. Right? So work-life balance means different things to different people. For me, like doing my work for 10 hours a day and then, taking care of my family is the work-life balance. But, for others, it might be entirely different. Working for 4 hours and getting to enjoy
Yes.
with friends is something that they will define as work-life balance. See, it is definitely necessary, but it is completely dependent on the individuals how you want to define. So if you ask me, like there are a lot of questions around the internet about work-life balance in early career and all that, and even if you heard like Narayan Murthy was saying about you need to like work 48 hours a day, 50 hours. It's not the
70 hours.
amount of right. It is not the amount of hours you want to put in. It is like the amount of knowledge that you gain within those hours is what is important. So if you are satisfied with whatever you are doing, like where you want to go in
Absolutely.
your career, okay, and like how many hours that you want to put in for your growth, for your life. Sometimes life is easy for someone, for others it is difficult. So it is like up to individuals to define like what is the draw a line between your work and life and manage it accordingly. So there is no like like a strict thing called work-life balance. It is about how you manage it.
Cool. I think I 100% agree with you, right? Because I've been on the both side. I worked on a full-time job, pretty comfortable. I used to work like 5, 6 hours a day, right? Not more than that. And I've also worked in a startup. I'm running a startup, work 20 hours a day. I think what you put it is absolutely right. At the end of the day, are you happy with things? That's what for me is work-life balance, right? You are setting expectations to your personal time, you are setting expectation to your professional time, you are managing your own time, right? If you are happy, that's work life balance. If you are
Yeah.
not happy, even working 2 hours a day also, that is not work life balance. So that's how I would put it, because as I said, I've been in a pretty comfortable job working 5 to 6 hours a day, and I also running a startup working 20 hours a day. It's sometimes what drives people, right? Sometimes people enjoy taking ownership, going beyond the lines of what's expected and delivering things. It kind of satisfies them and they are happy with it. You can't blame them. And sometimes there are people who want to establish boundaries, right? Hey, I can only work 6 hours or 8 hours. Don't bother me on. I think that's also absolutely right. It's what they need and what they are happy with. I think that's what makes a perfect work life balance. You can't just enforce blanket on everyone and say, hey, everybody has to work for 70 hours or 40 hours or 50 hours, right? Because even in my team, I don't force people to work beyond hours. I'm like, I'll give you a thing. If you can get it done in 2 hours, well and good. Some people leave early, some people come late, some people do things faster, some people do slower. It's not like at the end of the day, as leaders, what I've seen is things getting done on time, right? That's what it matters, because whether they work more, whether they work less, and if they are happy, things will get done. If they are not happy, things will never get done. That's what I've realized.
So I'll add one more thing to that. Like, you are happy and the people around you are happy. I think you are maintaining a very good work-life balance.
Cool. Yeah, and here is the big question, right? Is AI an opportunity or a threat?
Definitely an opportunity, right? Like I said earlier, there always been times where something became a threat for you. When computers were there, like when they started with
Oh,
computers,
yeah.
they always said it's a threat to all the banking employees. But if you look at now, it has evolved into a very great technology. It has helped a lot of people uh, to to pursue and understand a different kind of a landscape. That's what I would call. Again, the internet. People were like saying, "Is it an opportunity or threat?" It is definitely an opportunity. Like when people are moving to mobile, people are saying there are going to be like a lot of you know downtime in the web apps and other things. But yeah, it opened its own opportunity. A lot of other things to work at, like the cloud. So definitely, like the industry is evolving, the technology is changing. Every invention or every new thing that comes is definitely to be seen as an opportunity. While it may close some of the doors that we used to do earlier, but it definitely opens a lot of opportunities for you. It is up to you to how you become adaptable to those technologies is what matters.
Yeah, I think I used to say this, right? Because I come from a predominantly cybersecurity background, eventually became CTO and handled development of application infrastructure and everything. But in cybersecurity community, there is this, threat about AI. See, my thought process is, knife was invented to cut vegetables or mutton, chicken, whatever it is, right? It was a utility. Like how people use it, you can't control, right? People use it for bad things, people use it for good things, but you can't control. But AI is a tool similar to that, right? It can never be threat in the good people's hand. It can always be a threat in you know not so good people hands, right? So that's what I would put it, because AI is just a platform or a tool that you use. How you use it defines whether it's good or bad. Again, from which side you are on, right? From which side you are on, the good or bad decides, right? And we're coming to almost the final or the closing session, but it was an absolute pleasure talking to you, right? For the last part of these, so just I want to have a quick rapid fire, right? When we come to underrated piece of technologies, what is something that we use every day, but it's still underrated?
algorithmic thinking, I would say, because not an app, not a tool, but the way the system is designed, right? Every time you search something on Google, scroll through, you work on social media, get recommendation. It is algorithm working behind the scenes. We don't see it, we don't
Yes.
think about it, but it quietly powers almost everything that you use every day.
Yeah. See, on the same lines from my side, right? It's optical fiber. People never think it's a cool technology to work in field, but your entire cool thing is working on optical fibers. Right?
Correct. Yeah.
So, and what's one piece of tech jargon you wish people would stop using?
uh, Maybe the tech stack, because it is one of the most overused terms today. People often say like, what is a tech stack, as if like naming tools defines their capability, right? But in reality, it is not about the stack, it is about how well you understand the fundamentals and solve problems. So you can switch task anytime, but if you don't understand the underlying concepts, the stack doesn't matter.
I think that's absolutely brilliant call, because that's where I was having a couple of discussions last week where we were discussing whether it's a Go, Node.js, or what stack is good for this. Why do you matter? It's all microservices. People are writing something in Python, people are writing something in Go, people are writing in Node.js. Like, see, unless you hit a particular range, this tech stack doesn't matter. It's like whether the code can do its job or not. When you hit starting scale, there will be huge bloated libraries or something. That's as part of tuning any other programming language you have to do. It's not relevant to one particular language. People used to complain about Java being slow, right? But Java still runs. You don't know how many systems still rely on Java, right? So yeah, that's I think brilliant call there. So if you're starting a tech company today, what industry would you disrupt first?
Uh, it is always the tech, the educational tech, because being one of the passions myself, I want to bring out a system where it helps personalized learning. Because being a teacher, being a professor in a college, I always like wanted to teach different to different people. So when you sit in a class of like 60 students, everybody's capability is different. So
Cool.
learning capacity of one person is different from the other. Uh, some of them learn through lectures, some of them learn through visual, some of them learn through audios and stuff. So I want to build a system which actually personalizes your learning according to your needs.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, so definitely a thing.
In a tech leadership club itself, there was Badri, who was my ex-colleague. He started on his own venture. He started like in a handwriting pad, basically. And I think that is one of the same pitch that he had for. See, each kid has a different grasping power. Each kid has a different focus, but they all learn with the same teacher, same content, right? There is no way two kids can understand the same, content from the same teacher, because they both are different in skill sets to
Correct.
observing the content,
Correct.
right? So that's where he had a piece of technology that you can evaluate and identify where the kid lacks, right? What did he capture? What did he miss? Is he focusing on the audio visual cue, or is he focusing on the written content? So I think that's a space that is, especially in India, I think pretty needed, because we do have these classes of 50 students per class, 60 students per class. And if you look at it, they all have different backgrounds. They have their own personal struggles when it comes to focus. In this age of social media distractions, right? It's very hard for people to sit in the class, in my opinion, because there is always some notification that you have to take and look your phone, or something that is distracting you that you saw just before entering the class, right? So that's where it becomes very ideal to have that personalized learning, right? I think that's how I would put it. But yeah, amazing idea there. Cool. And the best piece of career advice you receive, like, in your life?
Okay, it may sound very simple, but it's most powerful. I always like told, to finish what you start. Okay, in my career, like
Oh,
you start many things, like you start projects, ideas, learning paths, whatnot. But really, what really builds credibility is seeing things through the completion, right? Because
nice.
consistency and execution, whether you
Outlast innovation. what
Right.
I would put consistency and
Exactly.
um, it will outlast innovation.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's what truly sets you apart. Like you have to be like people have to believe you. Like if something is given to you, you will definitely make it to completion. So that is something the best career advice that I received so far, and I try to like live up to it.
Cool. Um, Last, probably final one before we close up, right? Describe artificial intelligence in 3 words.
So it is autonomous, it is intelligent, it is transformative.
Cool. Yeah, that's it. Then probably I have some small outro that I'll record it offline. Should be good. Thanks, Venky. I think, Venkat, great to have you, but it was amazing to chat with you.
Thanks for inviting me. I don't know how do you reach my you know, profile, but I'm
See,
really
I'm trying to reach out and build an audience, right? See, in the past videos also I've sent, I want to do a round table with a different sets of experience. See, CEOs are put in a tough job of answering to public, right, on the decisions they make. I want to show what the CEO decisions are derived from. You put a developer, you put a sales guy, you put a CTO, and you put a product manager and a CEO. Don't CEO. CEO, leave it out of the picture, right? Now, let CTO and sales guy, product and the finance guy discuss like what are their problems and let them come up with a solution because that's what CEO does, right? Managing these people and solving their problems, right? CFO wants cost reduction, but product guy wants a new shiny thing to be developed, right? Sales guy wants to deliver that shiny thing to customer to get more business. Now, figure it out among yourself without CEO, right? If you figure that out, then you don't need CEOs, right? So that's what I would like to do, that round table and have tough discussions. But yeah, let's hope I can find everybody's time online and bring them to a kind of a round table.
it's been a really great conversation. Really
I
enjoyed reflecting my journey and sharing some of those experiences.
Cool, cool. Same here, Venkat. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to
Same.
sure.
Yeah, yeah. That's it, guys. From writing the books on Python and securing Bitcoin at scale, saving millions through smart sensors, Venkat has shown us the best engineering isn't about writing code, it's about solving real problems. Venkat, thank you so much for sharing your journey on our podcast today to our listeners. We have linked Venkat books and his works at ConverSight in the show notes below. Make sure to hit subscribe and we'll catch you on the next episode. Thank you.